and welcome to the Ketchup Corner down at Fraggle Rock.
Had to get that out of my system.
If you could not tell, today's episode is about
Fraggle Rock.
Fraggle Rock.
I'm excited as fuck for this fucking episode.
Are you?
Yes.
What is Fraggle Rock, my dear?
It's a rock where Fraggles are, dumbass. It's in the fucking show name. It comes with the show.
What's a Fraggle?
A Fraggle is a mystical creature made by Jim Henson. Mystical little pint-sized creatures that dwell underground, or rather in a mystical realm. So, yeah, it's great stuff. We follow these Fraggles as they explore themselves, the Gorg's Garden, hell, not really hell, but some places in Fraggle Rock might as well be hell, and the human world known as outer space as Uncle Traveling Matt adventures into outer space and sends postcards back to good old Gobo. Yeah.
Who's Gobo?
Gobo's a Fraggle.
Gobo is a Fraggle.
Yes. Am I being tested here? I'm like the super fan of Fraggle Rock.
All right, we follow five main Fraggles.
Yes.
We follow Gobo.
Yes.
Moki.
The leader. And you gotta explain their character traits. You gotta do them justice.
Okay. We follow five main Fraggles. We follow Gobo, who is an adventurer.
And the leader.
Mm-hmm. We follow Moki.
Yep.
Who's a hippie.
Very much hippie. Very much hippie. Yes, very hippie.
And we follow Red.
Yep.
Who is basically an adrenaline junkie.
Yep.
She loves to hop, loves to jump.
ADHD.
Does not like to be sitting down whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
We follow Boober.
The most relatable character of them all.
Has severe anxiety.
Tedium and drudgery. I love that guy. He's so fun.
And we follow Wembley.
Who wembles.
And
a wembling is a back and forth type of thing.
Yeah.
He is indecisive.
Cannot make up his mind.
No, he fucking can't.
And it's basically just them going on all these adventures and figuring themselves out and
the world around them.
And while also trying to stay clear of the Gorgs
and steal their radishes.
Yes, and steal their radishes. And the Gorgs are basically the giants of this world, and they don't like Fraggles.
They probably may not even be that much bigger than humans, actually, if I remember correctly.
Probably. Fraggles are little.
They're very little. There's also the Doozers.
The Doozers are even littler.
Little people.
Yeah, and they are basically like their whole purpose is to build things for the Fraggles to eat.
They don't care what's destroyed. They just like rebuilding.
Yeah.
The minute something is not destroyed, they literally will die. Like, it's established in one of the episodes in Season 1. They're like, well, the Fraggles don't want to eat our stuff. We got to pack up and leave or we'll die. It's not they'll go out of business. They will literally die if their one purpose is not fulfilled. Yeah. Relatable.
And, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but, like, there's this one, like, what Benson was just saying, the one episode, it's basically Moki who starts feeling bad that they're eating the Doozers' projects. And so she basically gets everybody to agree to not eat them.
Not just agree. They take the solemn Fraggle oath.
They take the solemn Fraggle oath.
Yes.
To no longer eat their projects. And they don't really, like, communicate. So, like, the Doozers are thinking, like, they just don't want to eat their creations anymore.
And they build fast.
Yeah, and they build fast. So, like, the whole area of Fraggle Rock is taken up by these creations, and so they might have to move out, and it's like a whole thing. And then Moki realizes that she was wrong.
Circle of life.
Yeah.
She tried to disturb the circle of life thinking she was doing good, and it did not work.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get into the themes, though.
We're talking about the first season of the original show and the first season of the re-released
Now, again, to reiterate, because this is a show where we're doing this twice a week and we're catching it up as we go on the fly with 2 jobs each. I've seen it all. I have seen it all. I know the show like the back of my hand. I don't need to do any research, Your Honor. But her, on the other hand, there's 5 seasons, 96 episodes in the original show, and then 24 episodes in the reboot series, I think. Right around 24, 26. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, in the time constraints we have, much like every other show, she's not able to watch everything.
Which is so sad because I wanted to. I ended up watching actually a lot.
You did.
A lot more than I thought I was going to, which I'm really happy about, but I wanted to watch more because I do really enjoy this show.
Okay, so let's get into that. What did you think?
I loved it. I had a really good time with it. I once again, all of Jim Henson's works, all of the characters felt unique and just themselves. They had their own personalities, and most of them were really relatable.
Yeah. I mean, even the Fraggles that are in the background sometimes, the storyteller, world's oldest Fraggle, they all had their roles, and it was funny as hell every time. The Gorgs, Marjorie, the trash heap, we can't forget Marjorie. Shout out fucking Marge.
I love her.
Oh, she's great. I love Marjorie being this old wisdom sightseer that the Fraggles go to for help. She's fucking amazing in the reboot and in the original series.
Yeah, she's hilarious. If you don't know, the trash heap is literally just someone that they go to when they have problems that they can't figure out amongst themselves.
Because she's the all-knowing trash heap. Yeah.
She usually gives them really vague, really vague advice. And they just have to roll with it.
She overstepped the boundary one time with that advice.
Yes.
We will go into that episode, but she's fucking great. I love her. Then there's Doc, the human.
Yes.
And Sprocket, the dog, who are in the house and keep getting the stuff for Gobo Fraggle. So, unfortunately, they never once think to themselves, wow, we keep getting this stuff. Let's return it to the post office. They just keep throwing it in the trash can.
Which is interesting because that's never questioned in the original show, at least not up to the point that I'm at. But it is questioned in the sequel show.
It is.
It is,
very
which
much
is
is
so funny.
So we've established the world, and it's musical. It's a musical.
It is musical.
There's about 1 or 2 songs every episode. So let's talk into why you like it a lot. So go ahead, give us your thoughts.
I mean, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
Well, answer the question. That's what we're here for, right?
It is. I don't really know how to describe this show. It's I don't know even, I didn't even write any notes on this because I wasn't sure just what to write other than I really enjoyed the characters. The world, of course, is phenomenal, as I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's because Jim Henson and company does all of these things so well.
They do.
That, it's just hard to say anything different. The world is amazing. You think Fraggle Rock, what, they're just sitting around a rock? No, they're exploring caves, and they're, literally every nook and cranny they turn down is something new and different, and you're always discovering new characters or new myths and legends and new stories. They have a whole storyteller that just tells them...
The terrible tunnel.
Yes, just tells them about different things that they had never heard about, so we're learning with them for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Traveling Matt is fucking hilarious.
Traveling Matt basically has no idea what anything is. He thinks he knows everything, but he doesn't, and it leads to some of the best hijinks in the world. This man literally writes to Gobo about all his adventures, and in the sequel series mainly, he brings back antiques for them too. For example, to quote the sequel series, he thinks a water bottle is a keeper of secrets, and he tells it a secret and says, I'm afraid of my own mustache, and brings it back to Gobo and says, hey, hopefully you could place this in a museum for me, please, and thank you. So he does a lot of traveling. He discovers how things like balloons work. He discovers how food works. In the sequel series, one of my favorite Traveling Matt gags is he discovers how ice and ice sports work and gets sent to the fucking penalty box.
But he thinks it's like they're praising him because he did a good thing.
He thinks the ice rink is literally basically like a torture chamber or like a prison where all the silly people, as they call them, have to walk and are born with skates for feet. And they're stuck to be moving in a circle forever. And he thinks their joyous laughter is like screams of fear. So he runs into a ref after trying to stop everything. He gets put in the reward box, the penalty box, and then he gets out of the penalty box because he sees what he calls the beast that holds them captive.
Zamboni.
A fucking Zamboni. and gets to go on a victory lap.
Which is my favorite part of hockey. If you did not know, I go to the games strictly for the Zambonis.
And the good-looking men.
And the good-looking
The
men.
good-looking men, too, yes. So, like, literally, he is the most cocky and unaware person. He is the idea of a D&D character with low intelligence and wisdom, but damn if his charisma doesn't sell you on everything. He is literally freaking hysterical. So he sends all these postcards. Every day, Gobo gets them, so there's always an interlude, typically, where Uncle Traveling Matt, there's a story from him about the outside world that relates to the themes, in a way, of the episode. For example, Wembley and the Gorgs, episode 2. They're all captive in a cage after the Gorgs capture them and all that while they were trying to save Wembley. So Gobo reads the story and he talks about how he discovers flying creatures being held captive and they're kites and balloons. So he goes around freeing them by taking scissors and snipping them. He frees the balloons and then he goes and frees a kite and it falls to the ground compared to the balloons which flew away. And he's like, guess some things don't mind captivity or something like that. Or don't mind their freedom in their way. And it's so interesting and how they always find a way to relate the real world and silly antics to the theme of the episode, which is very fun in that regard. There's always a theme. So here's my next point for you, unless you have something else to say. How do you think this, actually, not how do you think, let me rephrase this. Actually, how do you feel about this being essentially what I'm going to call the more indirect version of Sesame Street?
Oh.
This literally does what Sesame Street does without always being as direct. Or as in-your-face direct, like teaching you something. Like, you're learning something with these characters, but it's not teaching.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's an interesting combination of Sesame Street and the Muppets.
A very calm version of the Muppets, we should probably add. There isn't too many, loud explosions or antics. This is that in-between where it's it just fits that niche perfectly.
Yeah, I think it's like a stepping stone from Sesame Street to the Muppets. Mm-hmm. But I see exactly what you mean. Well, Sesame Street is more ABC 1, 2, 3 learning. Fraggle Rock is more learning about yourself, your abilities.
Well, that's what Sesame Street does too, though. So I was going to ask you the next question. Who do you think does it better?
That's hard.
That's hard because it's two different learning approaches.
It's two different learning approaches, but I think Sesame Street...
Really?
Because I think Sesame Street has... Okay. There's one episode that I know we'll talk about later. Uh-huh. That I think...
Oh, we're going to get to that episode.
Yeah,
yes.
I think does leaps and bounds better.
Yep.
But I think Sesame Street, because they are able to tackle so many topics for younger learners that... very, very few shows touch in general, even if it's geared towards older children.
This sucks because I wish we had time with this podcast to watch all 5 seasons, and I feel like something like Jim Henson should have been 2 months.
I know.
I feel like that's a regret. Maybe we'll come back to it at some point. Jim Henson Part 2, wrap-ups, or a 1-year anniversary wrap-up on stuff that we started and dedicating that year.
Yeah. I plan on finishing all of these, relatively soon. This isn't going to be, a one-and-done
This
thing.
would be a fun thing for, a year, a 1-year anniversary. We go back on all the themes for each week and tie loose ends up.
Yeah.
This is why I wish we watched all 5 seasons, because they go into things like endangered species. There's a whole episode where Red, while practicing swimming after no one believes her about how she can do a trick, encounters an endangered one-of-its-kind species that was basically if it was there, if people know it was there, it would be extinct. So she has to keep the secret that she knows about this endangered species to preserve it, and that sometimes big loud awareness isn't always the best preservation. There's a lot of themes about sticking into your role and confidence as always. There's an episode later on that's pivotal, no spoilers I guess, to the way Gorgs and Fraggles interact for the future. It's towards the end of the season, so you don't see that interaction much after, but it's basically about Junior fitting into this role of being king of the universe.
Yeah. Obviously, we can only go based on what I've seen. But as of right now, and maybe my feelings will change, and that'll be another interesting discussion that we have when I've finished.
I feel like this does it better.
That's great.
Because
as of right now, I personally feel like Sesame Street does better after what I've witnessed. But
yeah.
that could change.
And it's also like direct, you know, it's very direct. It's a learning show. So, of course, there's going to be more direct ways to talk about it, but Fraggle Rock does it in an adventure setting, so it's natural.
Yes.
So, you get to explore the world and these themes instead of just being told and learning about it, which is why I think it does it better than Sesame Street. Like, Sesame Street, yeah, there's a world and there's some good examples of it, but I think Fraggle Rock does it way more naturally because the whole episode is dedicated to that theme specifically and learning the ins and outs and the intricacies. And not to, you know, throw shade at Sesame Street, but Fraggle Rock also does have nuance to it, and that nobody's perfect, and that everybody is literally falls to their own hubris to a theme in some way. Like the terrible tunnel. Wembley has to be brave and not Wemble when admitting that he saw the terrible tunnel. Gobo is a know-it-all and thinks he's seen it all, and that it's just a myth, despite seeing outer space and all these other things. So he has to learn that, and Reg's just, you know, being Red. So, and even Boober has to deal with his own anxiety, and it's not like a get over it type of thing. It's in the sequel series, especially when his tail glows, it's okay to be scared, but you can't just let it run your life, and that maybe something you don't understand isn't scary, but rather something beautiful, and you just have to not just be scared of it and roll with it. It's okay to be scared, but you can't let it ruin your life, but you also shouldn't just get over it. I think it explores nuances way better because it's dedicating all these episodes to that theme, the ins and outs of it. Sesame Street's, here's this approach, here's how to learn about it. And, like, there is maybe some nuances, sure, but the way more paper cut, and also the entire episode isn't dedicated to that theme.
That's really fair. No, I think now I agree with you, because you bring up a really fair point. See, you're fired from the podcast, because you're making me change my mind, and I don't want to do that.
I'm doing what I do best as a fan of this fucking series, since I would watch it on the hub. Don't come at me.
Also, this podcast is changing, like, our entire dynamic, because we're not supposed to agree with each other this often.
No. No. That's not how that works.
No, but I think I agree. I think you've convinced me.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Fraggle Rock, because you're right, because 30 minutes opposed to 10.
They do a good job with 30 minutes, though,
and
too.
Usually, like, 24, actually, but, like, 24 minutes as opposed to 10, where you're taking time to, like, actually explain this problem and the different ways that you can approach it, other than, like, 10. Like, even the Meet Julia episode was just a 10-minute clip, and I was looking to see if there was, like, something longer.
They just followed up.
No, it was literally just a 10-minute clip.
They follow it in sporadic moments with Julia.
Know, which I get, because children that young don't have the attention span to learn about all of these new things.
This is smart, though, because, like, young children can learn from this too. And also, and this isn't to say 10-minute things aren't better than 24. It all depends on how you do it. It's the same thing people have with our short films, way better and way more exploring than feature films even now. I don't disagree, but, like, it just depends on who's behind the vision. And quite frankly, Jim Henson mainly let his team run this one. Like, while he was busy with everything else, including Dark Crystal, watch the Defunctland video. He's going to be mentioned a lot. But, like, I think that's the thing. And also, too, it does all the themes for all three universes amazingly. Because there's the Gorgs, obviously, and their vision of the world. There's the Fraggles, who are taking part in everything. And then they also show the silly version of the theme. Like, not being, like, Wembling all the time and making a choice, you know? Like, you know, Doc and Sprocket, for a lot of the episode, are dealing with Sprocket choosing the donut with jelly, or I forget the other one. And then it's the soup. Custard, yes. Custard. And then there's, like, soup later on. Yeah. And it's a fun, light introduction into what the Fraggles dive into deeper. And I think that's very impressive. Because not only do they explore the theme from the get-go in some ways, but they explore it typically in a way and Doc and Sprocket aren't always involved in the theme, but this is a good example of it. But they do it in a way that just makes sense and like ties everything together in a way that's easy to handle and easy to digest before you get to the main meal of the themes. And there's a lot of good themes in here that are there. Spirituality, myths and legends. Again, your own self, accepting others, accepting yourself. This show has a very nuanced approach to that type of thing. And we'll get into another episode in a second because I want to hear your thoughts on the OG first before we get to the sequel. There is a nuance to every character. Nobody is truly evil or irredeemable in the show except for one character, which we'll get into when we talk about the OG. So go ahead, give us some thoughts on the OG.
I just did.
A little more. What was your favorite episode?
My favorite episode.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. And also, what do you not like about the OG, I guess? Like, if you have to pick something you don't like about the OG or just show in general, what do you not like at all? Or maybe, like, not like it all, per se, but, like, what's something that could have been done better for you? Anything. There has to be something.
No, I really don't think there is.
Really?
I really, really enjoyed the show.
Oh, thank goodness, because this is why it's in my top 5 as well, of all time.
I mean...
There it is.
There's always something about a show where there's no, like, linear storyline and every episode is something different, but that's not a negative against Fraggle Rock. It's just a preference where if I'm going to sit down and watch a show... More often than not, I sometimes prefer having a linear story where an episode might end in a cliffhanger and keep me, like, wanting to watch. Yep. But that's not a bad thing for Fraggle Rock, and I don't think... I mean, I won't say I don't think it would work for Fraggle Rock, because in the sequel series, there are some episodes that do end on cliffhangers.
And tie together.
But
then again, that finale of 6 was on purpose. Yeah. Like, it is technically parts 1 through 6. And there is some build up to those parts anyways. So what would you say is like your favorite episode of the OG? And also, oh wait, never mind. I think you got it.
I think I liked Capture the Moon the best.
Really?
I like anything involving the moon.
Oh, Christ.
And that one was really interesting and cute.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Okay. What was it about it that stuck with you?
The moon. I like the moon.
Okay, other than that.
No.
What about the Fraggles?
I love the Fraggles.
What? Okay.
I love the Fraggles no matter where they are, though. You're asking really hard questions.
I am. You're supposed to think in advance and take notes, but you didn't take notes. You're about as lazy and easygoing as the Fraggles.
I know. I didn't take notes for this one because I wasn't really sure what I was going to say that I have not already said for different projects in the past.
The puppetry is... This is a case where there's a bunch of different puppetry that comes in all at once. There's obviously the regular puppetry, but then there's the Gorgs, who are, like, full body, like, Big Bird. And then there's the Doozer puppets and Fraggles and Wide Shots, like, with the control, like, their mouth. What did you think of the puppetry and having all different kinds there?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously, I think I keep on saying, and I'm gonna keep on saying, I love how many different characters, personality-wise or puppet-wise, we get in these shows, because it just shows how much care, passion, and love Jim Henson and company like put into these projects.
Yup. So what about the songs then? This is the biggest part. What about the songs for these? What did you think about that?
I hated them.
Well,
no, do not think it should have been a musical. I didn't like it at all.
Okay, well then, you know what? We're officially
kidding.
at disagreeing points. Dropping elbows. See you later.
I'm kidding. I loved the songs, and don't ask me which one my favorite was.
Really?
I love them.
They're good.
Yeah.
And sometimes they all explore different genres.
Yeah. I loved the diverse. I just love the diversity in all of Jim Henson's works. I love it in the puppets. I love it in the music. I love it in the worlds.
Fraggle Rock, I think, does diversity the best.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think so. And because, again, they're not much different from humans. They're just the lighter side of humans, and they have their weaknesses much like we do, but it's cool to see it through these characters' lenses. They fucking... Their version of a job is just playing ping pong all day.
Actually, I changed my mind on my favorite episode.
What's that?
I think my favorite episode is Wembley finds a job.
Oh, yeah. Why's that?
Because I think it really takes the point of their personalities and basically just makes you see how each person has a job that's like specifically made for them. And Wembley is the only one that out of his friend group that doesn't have a job yet. And he's trying to figure it out. And obviously this goes back to him being a Wembler and trying to figure out
They do tackle
what to
this
do
a lot.
because you can't decide on just one job. But do they find a job that's perfect for him? You'll have to find out. Because I'm not going to tell you.
Can I say it?
Sure.
Okay, he's a firefighter siren.
He becomes a siren.
They have no idea how to...
So cute!
I love how they do the job because, like, to fight a fire, you have to know how to start a fire, apparently, for them. And they're like, do you know how to start a fire? And he goes, no. And it's this huge climatic buildup. And they go, well, thank goodness, neither do we. So they literally don't do anything with fires for the most part. The creatures in this realm, like, I do love the villains, quote unquote, of this series. What do you think about that? Because there's no really big evil character, which we'll talk about in a second, but I'm coming around to that point. There's nothing outwardly evil. It's just conflicts with themselves or each other, or creatures that are, like, being disturbed, like the invisible gargoyle, I believe it is, the full name,
yeah.
who squashes Fraggles, but he's not inherently a big threat. He's just in this world, and they're trying to, like, not go near it, and they accidentally unleash it.
Yeah. What was the question?
How do you feel about that? There's no inherently evil person in this.
I like that, though. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I feel like it's a lot harder to have a conflict that is, like, inner than it is to create, like, this deep, meaningful, bad villain that they have to fight.
And their conflicts with each other aren't blown up much either.
No, which is fine, because at the end of the day, they're still friends.
Well, not blown up, not like that, like blow up, fuck you type of shit, but just like blown up as in they're down to earth conflicts you'd see in us.
Oh, yeah, that too.
So, yeah. So here's my next question then.
No.
I had you watch a specific episode in season 2. Junior sells the farm.
Yes.
What did you think of that episode?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like that so if you don't know what that episode is, basically Junior
sells the farm. It's in the title.
Junior sells the farm on accident. I mean, not really on accident, but he sells them for some magic peas
that he thinks
are magic.
Are from legend and are going to grow him a bride because he needs some bitches on that gorgonzola dick.
And he has to work together with the Fraggles because at the beginning he captured Red and Moki.
Yep.
And he has to work together with them to figure out how to get his farm back. And I thought that was really interesting. I'm surprised they did it. Knowing Red and Moki, he picked one of the least considerate Fraggles to help.
Yep. So, this brings me to my next point. What did you think about the conflict of Wander McMooch?
I didn't like him.
What do you mean?
I didn't like him.
Why's that?
He was rude.
Okay, did you actually not like him, or did you not like him because he's an asshole?
I didn't like him because you're supposed to not like him.
Okay, good. Do you think it's a good character?
I do.
So here's my point where I fucking lied earlier. He is inherently the only evil person in this show.
Does he come back?
He comes back in season 3 for one more episode.
Oh,
he is a greedy con man type of dude. In season 3, I guess to give you light spoilers, Marjorie's wonderful buddies run from home, and he captures them because he's an old rival of Marjorie, and he makes them his literal slaves. And there's a whole evil song he sings while they're pulling his car where he says he, whips them, binds them, grinds them into the earth. Like, this man literally has no redeemable qualities.
I don't like him.
He's greedy, he is a con man, he is capitalistic in a way. What do you feel about that?
I don't like him.
Well, other than that, the fact that it's done on purpose, probably.
Yeah, I feel like every show like this has to have, one big time villain. And I think, to give them something that is a little more out of norm and something that they actually have to fight against.
Right.
It's good for the show.
So what did you think about it, the fact that it's a capitalistic Toad.
I mean, well, from what we saw of him, I don't know if I would really say. I don't know. Hold on.
He literally tricks Junior into selling his land. He's a fucking sleazy landlord. On purpose. That is done on purpose.
Yes. I should also be noted, Benson made me watch this probably like 2 hours ago on the fly.
Yes.
So I didn't really have time to get my thoughts together.
Yeah, I thought of it last second. I was like, oh shit, she still needs to watch this.
Yes. But it's an interesting character to have on. Because Fraggles, like, obviously this is, like, a villain that they've never had to face before.
Nope.
Like, capitalism isn't something that they think about.
Mm-mm.
So to have a character that is
Gorgs don't even think about it.
Yeah, so to have a character that is greedy and thinking more about money than he is about other things, like, that they think about on a daily basis, it's a really interesting approach to take.
Mm-hmm. I think it works so damn well.
It definitely works.
It's so fucking good. Okay, now to go to the opposite end. What did you think of Doc and Sprocket? We've talked a lot about the Fraggles and Gorgs. What did you think of Doc and Sprocket?
I have thoughts, but I don't know if I can really say them. Okay, I mean, I can and I can't. I like Doc. Mm-hmm. I love Sprocket, obviously. We all know I love my animal characters.
Sprocket's a great character for sure.
But I can't say a lot without comparing it to the sequel series.
Which is valid.
Because it's two very... And, like, I tried not to compare them in general, but it's really hard when you have a show that's being remade and they take liberties with things, because Doc is a whole different character in the sequel series.
Yep.
But, like, so it's really interesting to say, like, to see, and, like, see the parallels between them. Because you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, Doc acts this way, but, like, a completely different way in the sequel series.
Yep.
Overall, I like them both.
Mm-hmm.
I think Doc's acting in the first is a little more natural. It seems like
for sure.
He's more like he's used, like he's talking to just, like, either a regular dog or, like, a person instead of... in the sequel series, but I'll get more into that when we talk about that in a little bit.
Which, wow, but we just get into that then. It seems like we've covered a lot of bases of the general gist of Fraggle Rock.
I think it's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode.
The sequel series obviously does a lot of the same things, but deviates a little bit. The sequel series, I should also mention, reuses a lot of songs from the original.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Like, once an episode, I think, they do an original, and they do a remake of it. So, I mean, even then, well, actually, before we get to that, because they even change characters in a way, let's get into really quick. Jim Henson, they said, created the world. He's like, have at it. Told his team to have at it. So let's cycle back to Jim Henson and his cameos. How'd you think about that? Because he has like 1 or 2 cameos in this, and you saw him early in the first season. So the fact that every once in a while he'd just run onto set and be like, this is neat, and, like, follow with his team. What'd you think about that?
I have no issue when creators do that. I know some people do, like, they think they're creating this work just so they can insert themselves in it. I have no problem with that. I think it's, like, a fun thing to do. Hey, if you're creating a project and you want to be part of that project, you do you, dude. It's not going to make a difference to me. Like, all I care about is if your acting is good and you're actually doing it for the love of the project. Versus, like, the only time I have a problem with it is if you create the project just to have, like, your niece, nephew, son, daughter join in on the project and they're not good at acting.
Right.
And, like, you're just doing it to play favorites versus somebody who is good at acting and does care about the project that could have and should have gotten that part.
Well, I guess I mean more in a sense, too. What does that say about his trust in his team for this? That he would only appear maybe for, like, a very select few episodes acting or even behind the scene wise while he was carrying on everything else. This is the culmination, it feels like, of before his death, where everything that his team had worked together so hard on comes together. How do you think about that?
I mean, I think he knew exactly who to put his trust in, and we can see that from the amount of projects that we have said are phenomenal. The only project that we have not liked on this podcast so far is the one that his team did not work on. So I think if you can say Jim Henson wasn't part of this, but he trusted his team and he knew exactly who to trust with it, it still turned out phenomenal because he knew who to put his trust in.
Dave Goles, Richard Hunt, Catherine, everybody was involved in some shape or form.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that legacy still carried on today, obviously.
Yes.
So, which brings us to the sequel series. What did you think about this? Because, again, they remade some newer, older stuff. They kept some of the vibes. They changed one or two designs. Like, obviously, the actor for Doc in the OG passed away way before this was started, so they brought in a new, younger Doc for this generation. I think they changed and updated the details on the Gorg features. Moki's design has changed entirely, and they made a joke about that, actually, too, which is funny. And there's way more use of, like, full body and other practical effects and CGI in this show. What did you think about this, about being Back to the Rock?
I went into this being really harsh, actually.
Really?
I went into it and I was just thinking, It took a minute for me to get into this one versus the original. And it started with the opening song. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the opening song?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I've fucking seen everything.
I know, but I know you hadn't watched the entirety of Back to the Rock.
I watched it essentially through clips on YouTube and TikTok. I found ways when we didn't have Apple TV.
So the opening kind of just throws you into a new song. Mm-hmm. And it's very loud, very in your face, very not the original opening, but that does change. Like, I think that's the only episode, at least so far, where, like, that's a different theme song. But, like, it took me a second to get into it because I was like, okay, hold on. This is a little overstimulating. But then, like, I started getting more into it, and I'm like, okay, I like this. I wouldn't be totally mad if this was the theme song. But then they went back to the original theme song, and I was even more happy. Mm-hmm. And then the actress for Doc, and this was, like, my main concern, wasn't bad. And I'm glad that, like, they're using a different actress. It's great. It's interesting. And I like that they're doing something a little different. Like, she is not just fixing the house, but she's getting her PhD. That's why she's called Doc. And, of course, she has a dog named Sprocket as well. So she's trying to fix the house that she just moved into because it's a fucking mess. Mm-hmm. And she's
hole in the wall and everything.
Yeah, and she's also going to school. And we get to see, like, she's very much cares about the environment. And so she's trying to figure out ways to help the environment, not only by being herself and, like, trying to get the word out there on her own, but, like, trying to just do things as well. But the way that she vocalizes things, like, so the original Doc talked just very more matter of fact, like, just like he was in a conversation. And
he's also an inventor, we should mention, too.
Yes, She talked more like you would expect a preschool teacher to talk to her children. Mm-hmm. And I think that it just didn't come off genuine at first, and I wasn't really sure how to feel about that right away because I don't know, I just don't like that acting in TV shows like that. It's not made for little kids, and even with little kids, you need to, like, you don't need to talk to them like they're babies. Mm-hmm. You can talk to them like they're grown-ups because, like, that, like, they're just gonna grow up expecting to talk like this. Mm-hmm. And it's not good for them. So I don't like that kind of tone of voice in children's shows in general. Mm-hmm. So I think it just took me a second. Over time, I did grow to like her, though.
She's good. I really like her.
It's just that's the only problem I had with her is the tone of voice.
Oh, absolutely agree. But she gets so much better, and she, like, has her own issues, too, like, that translated to modern day. Like, the internet stuff, like, trying to find her way to, like, teach science and protect because that's an overarching theme in season 1, is she's trying to, like, protect the Earth's oceans from biodegradables and is trying to introduce a way to, like, decompose them. So basically, like, she uploads videos of science on YouTube, nobody watches it, and she's like, oh, wonder how. how I can like reach my audience, and it's like and subscribe, and it's in your face type of shit. And she's like, oh, maybe I'll do that. And then she's like, oh, that's not, I gotta stay true to myself. Relatable YouTube experience, but I digress. I did it a little darker, sew my mouth shut, Oddworld type of thing. Yes. You know, that not to plug my channel. But again, they do a very good job of lightly exploring themes you'll see in the episode in their own way.
I think she does it better than he did.
I think I might agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
So let's talk more about compared to the OG. Did you like the series at the end of the day?
I do. Yes. I just think it just took me a little bit, and I was trying not to compare them, but it's really hard not to compare them.
Fraggle Rock's such an instant love show, and it's another thing where, like, if you're going to reboot a show that's so beloved, you got to do it right, and it's going to go in with scrutiny. I mean, even for the short time you've had with Fraggle Rock, it's just an easy show to fall in love with. So it's hard not to have that scrutiny going into this.
I did have one more complaint.
What?
Matt, in the sequel series, came off as a little more arrogant than he did in the first one.
Which I kind of like. Because he thinks he knows it all.
I know, but it's hard when he's, like, talking to the other Fraggles, and he's like Gobo at the very, very beginning, he's saying, like, oh, I know you're my nephew, but clearly you don't have what it takes to be an adventurer. Like, goodbye.
Like
I'm revoking my invitation for you to come adventuring with me.
It's an interesting take on Uncle Traveling Matt.
I like that.
It's, like, in the first one, he's more bumbling with his arrogance. Yeah. This one, he's, like, misplaced stupidity arrogance. Which is how he gets, like, I think it's such an interesting take to it. Which I don't hate. I don't hate it, honestly. And it's led to some some funny as shit antics he gets into, too, because of it. I mean, because of that arrogance, we got the whole penalty box thing, which I think was one of your favorite moments with Uncle Traveling Matt.
Yes, so I just think I didn't like how he was acting with Gobo, who's someone who's supposed to look up to him, and is probably one of my favorite characters, 100%.
Gobo's great.
So, like, it just felt bad watching Gobo have to deal with not feeling like he's good enough. Mm-hmm. But then, like, as he, like, once he leaves and you can take he's more on his own, that's when he becomes more of the bumbling, idiotic travel guy that we know.
Because he's learning and he realizes he doesn't know everything. It's a great segue.
Does he realize he doesn't know anything? Because I don't think he's realizing anything yet. I think he's just rolling with it.
He is, and I think it's funny as shit. For example, spoilers, in Season 2, there's just a random K-pop interaction. Like, there's a whole song this K-pop band does, I forget the name, and he's just vibing and dancing to it, and I'm like, what the shit? I'm like, Matt is a K-pop fan? He probably would like K-pop Demon Huntress, actually.
Would.
Team Sadra Boy or Team Huntrix? Huntrix. He's a Huntrix fan, I feel like. Okay, but anyways.
I have no idea what you just said to me.
To get away from that, I really want to make that the question of the episode now. Would Uncle Traveling Matt be Team Huntrix or Team Sadra? We'll get to that. Okay, so let's talk about the songs. How do you feel about them in the sequel series? A lot of them are redos of previous songs.
Which I'm not mad at.
And then there's original songs. What do you think in general? Like, ooh.
I like it, though.
Okay, you like them?
Yes. I know you just...
I was scared.
I was trying to think. Because there's an episode that I really want to talk about. But we haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh, this episode's great.
But, no, I like them. I think it's really... It takes balls to redo... Like, not only to redo a very loved show, but to take songs from that show and to try to reuse them. Mm-hmm. It's tricky, and they do nail it.
Like, the season finale for Season 1 has a rendition of Follow Me that is so fucking great. And it's so, like, heartfelt, too, because, like, the only two actors, really, that aren't retired or passed away entirely are Red and Boober's voice actors and puppeteers. And I think Boober's actor doesn't puppeteer him, but he gives him the voice. So there's a moment where they sing a line together, and it's, like, so emotional because they are literally the last of the original Fraggle Rock cast that sang this song. And then there's a song at the end called One Heart, which is such a fucking amazing song, which ties everything together in Season 1. it's such a... I think it's one of those series, in my opinion, where the remake does it just as good, in my opinion, as the OG. Is that what you're feeling from it?
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I do think Gobo's voice actor in the sequel threw me off.
It does throw you...
Because he sounds nothing like the original. And obviously, like, I know
it's
why.
It's a whole other voice tone.
But yeah, it's a whole different voice tone. I don't think it fits him.
I like it. It took some getting used to. I like it. But
I think if it takes getting used to, is it that good?
No, but also, like, that's the thing where yes and no.
I don't think it fits him.
I think it's good on its own compared to the original, no. But getting used to it doesn't always mean it's bad. Getting used to it just means it's different, which Fraggle Rock tackles greatly, and it's why I have such a nuanced approach with a lot of different takes.
That's fair.
The one that took the longest is Wembley. I feel like his was kind of a little different. But then as the season goes on, he got better. Like the actor in general did better. Yeah. So there's that as well. Speaking of the sequel series, what did you think about the fact that you mentioned there's an overarching story, or like there wasn't an overarching story in the OG? There's an overarching story in season 1 and technically season 2. What did you think about that approach in season 1?
I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, it's not direct all the time.
No.
But they do it through advancing all 3 worlds at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is the Gorgs, Fraggles, 4 actually, because the Doozers too.
They include the Doozers a lot more in the sequel series.
And the Gorgs. They're not just encountering with Fraggles. They include the Gorgs a lot more. So I guess talking with the overarching story too, what did you think about all 4 worlds being equally in some way distributed throughout each episode? What did you think?
I like it a lot. I think it's an interesting way to do it. I do like that the Doozers are shown a lot more, and they actually have their own personalities.
Cotterpin is an OG too from the original series. Cotterpin's the fucking goat.
But even then, like, she didn't have, at least from what I've seen, she didn't have like her own personality. Like, she wasn't there an awful lot.
She does get more later on in the series, I will say, and that's what sucks about this podcast.
I know,
it's so tough,
I know.
but it's called the catch-up corner, not the finish corner. That's down the street. So, but Cotterpin does get more personality and more interactions later on. I really like that. I enjoyed getting to see their little personalities that they have other than building. And also being in, like, everybody gets their own personalities more instead of just conflict or theme and Fraggles. Everybody's world continues. So, do you think that does it better than the OG in this case?
Yeah.
Like, exploring these worlds more?
100%, which I'm a little surprised by, because we talk about how we love that every character, no matter how small, seems like they have their own personality.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, we didn't really see that in the OG.
It's interesting for sure.
That is super interesting that they wouldn't think to give them a little bit more.
I mean, even then, when they do their own thing in this show or don't expand, there's very few, it feels like, that do their own thing over than the overarching story, the OG songs, and, you know, a few characters. I do want to talk about that really quick, because you notice the minstrels in the sequel series, right? You notice there's a lacking character there. Cantus. Jim Henson's character. They don't use his name. They replace him with Jamdalin. Mm-hmm. This is what I think is so great about the sequel series, is that they're not trying to replace it. They're trying to give something for the new generation while respecting Jim Henson's work.
Which is why I was trying so hard not to compare it.
Like, they know forever Jim Henson's works will be immortalized. Like, his characters cannot be easily replaced like that. Like, I think that was the best way to go about it. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, you have to do your OG cast. You can't completely replace the Fraggles, or there's going to be riots, and it won't translate as well. Like, even without the original actors. If you're going to do it, then yeah, you have to keep that. But stuff that honors the legacies for, like, Jim Henson's side characters or some of what he does, I think it's really cool. And I think it's an impressive homage, in my opinion. So, with that in mind, because Jamdalin is a special guest, and actually, really quick before we get to the big one, what'd you think about the way more special guests in this sequel series as voices?
Oh my god, I loved it.
Like Daveed Diggs, who you don't know. Because you haven't seen Hamilton, really.
No, but he looks so familiar, and I don't know where
He's
I
in
know
that
him from.
Wonder movie, which apparently sucks.
Never seen it.
But he was also in Law and Order, which I told you about for 2 episodes.
Which I might have seen, but I kind of stopped watching SVU around right after Stabler left.
So, but he's Lafayette / Jefferson in Hamilton, and he's Jamdalin. So Cynthia also was in this. Good old Alphaba.
Yeah, which I was surprised by.
Yeah, there was a lot, and season 2 amps up the special guests especially. I mean, David returns again as Jamdalin. Adam Lambert's in this one. What did you think about the inclusion of way more special guests being their own characters?
I loved it. I loved it. And there were so many characters, though, that I think could be recurring, and that's why it is kind of sad when you get special guests, because they can't stay on for more than 1 or 2 episodes.
Other than Jamdalin.
Yes. But I loved it, and I think it's really fun. I mean, something that I love about voice acting in general is listening to the voice and just thinking where do I know that character from? And it just becomes a fun conversation in general.
Yeah.
So getting to see characters that you know and you've heard from before, like Cynthia, obviously we know from Wicked, which I still haven't watched.
I think neither have I really. And Wicked for Good's coming out in less than a week.
Yeah.
We have to see that.
Yep.
But I will say, it took me a second, but Cynthia's role felt like it was because I forget when Wicked came out 1 or 2 years ago. Oh, no, it came out last year. I feel because this show came out 2020, 2021, I think. I feel like they did that on purpose, knowing production-wise that she was going to be in it because this movie took a while. I feel like they did that on purpose. Because her character was flying around. She was basically Elphaba in a way. And I was like, damn, where have I seen this before?
Yeah, they probably did, but it fit for her.
It did.
So it's not like it was just a character to showcase the movie. It was a character that she happened to fit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of special guests fit their characters, which is impressive. I mean,
let's just hope she doesn't start getting typecasted as a witch.
Please no. But every special guest in that way, I guess, did fit their role perfectly. I mean, Adam Lambert killed his role. He was amazing.
Can we talk about it now, please?
I was going to say, are we finishing up our discussion with that episode?
Can we talk about it now,
All right,
please?
we're going to talk about what is probably the best piece of media you will ever fucking see. I'm Poggy. This was an episode much like season 2's Wander, where I told Meg, I'm like, this is important for the general discussion of Fraggle Rock. We need to at least watch I'm Poggy, even if you don't finish season 1. And it's the episode where the overarching story of season 2 and the outcome of season 1 aren't spoiled entirely, so this fits perfectly, and I think they did it on purpose because of how important this episode's themes are. So, take it away.
Okay, I'm Poggy is literally an episode about finding yourself. Mm-hmm. It is the episode where Adam Lambert blew up for being a part of Fraggle Rock. It's the whole reason that I knew Fraggle Rock had a sequel series to begin with. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm speaking for me. That's not... I'm sure you probably knew about it before then. But it's the whole reason that I knew anything about this in general. And I loved it so much. It's my favorite episode of the bunch. And it's literally just about, we open with Wembley, once again, Wembling, and trying to figure out about himself and what box he fits into, which literally parallels into the Gorg storyline, because Junior, his parents give him 2 boxes that he is supposed to choose from. Yeah, it's a tradition. When you turn 500 years old, you have to pick a box.
And you have to stay in it.
And Junior doesn't fit into either of the boxes.
He doesn't feel comfortable on them, more so.
No, he says he doesn't fit.
No, he doesn't fit, but it's not comfortable either, basically. Yes. So it quite literally doesn't fit and is uncomfortable in these boxes. But he feels pressure to take part into how he identifies forever with this box. Wembley's box is more so clothing. He finds Moki's old robe from the OG series, which they made a joke about, but Moki even says that she felt like it was time for a change, and so she changed how she looked, which explains this. And so Wembley tries on her old robe and thinks he looks great, changes his whole thing, ponytail, bunch of jewelry, and there's inner voices in him deciding this isn't what it should be like. So I'm gonna let you keep going with this, because you.
I'm gonna cry. Okay, it definitely made me cry.
Oh yeah.
But he ends up. So Gobo ends up going. Where does he go again? I forget.
Far away. Like, takes Uncle Traveling Matt's old boot.
Oh, his shoe, because he got a shoe in the mail.
His old shoe. Because
he got a new pair of shoes.
Because Uncle Traveling Matt went into a toy store and got some new shoes, which we'll get into. I feel like we should get into in a second, because that also fits into this episode in general.
Yes. And he ends up sending his old shoe to Gobo, and it pretty much stinks up the whole rock, and they're like, that needs to go. So he ends up taking it far, far away.
To faraway cave.
And Red is like, wow, he's going to be gone long enough for us to throw him a surprise welcome back party. So he ends up going with Pogi, who is a character who is...
No, Pogi goes with Wembley. Saying... Pogi goes...
Oh, Sorry. Wembley ends up going with Pogi to get some decorations for this party.
From the great Glitterini.
Yes, and
Pogi,
who, if we have not explained already, is a character who is completely just themselves, out and loud and proud, and always saying, I'm Pogi, because he is proud of who they are. Sorry.
I was going to say, they entirely, because that's an important part of this episode,
yes.
Because they, up until this point, I think someone noted at one point in the comment, they never outwardly say their pronouns. But Glitterini's the only one that does.
Yes.
In the entire show to that point. Yes. And it's specifically they.
Yes. That was my bad. But they end up going into this cave where Glitterini is.
Played by Adam Lambert. And end up finding themselves. Mm-hmm. In a way. Through glitter. Because the glitter changes them into whatever their heart desires. And then when Wembley wants to be him, he goes through a conflict where the glitter turns into a glitternado, the most bedazzling disasters ever, according to Great Glitterini. And it can only be stopped when Wembley stops having an internal conflict. So with some help from Pogi, he realizes that it's okay to be him and address himself however he wants, or however he wants to wear. Which then leads into, a remake of the song Let It Fly, or Free and High, which was from the OG series. And Adam Lambert fucking killed this song.
Killed it.
They all did.
Yes.
Genuinely. Like, give me more about this episode from your perspective, please. Because this is a huge episode, honestly. This is, I think, the epitome of what Jim Henson would have loved if he could see this alive right now.
I think this episode is a little more... what some people are going to say, a little more in your face. It is not subtle about its meaning whatsoever, and I don't think it needs to be. And honestly, some people are probably going to see that as a downside. For me, I loved it. Because this sometimes it needs to be in your face. This is how I am. I am not going to apologize for it. I'm not sorry for it. And it's something that Wembley needed to learn. And it's something that I think people, not just kids, people in general need to learn today, especially be yourself.
And it also helps with the, thing where back to the Gorgs, where Junior Gorg's like, I don't want to fit in a box at all. And he starts dancing around, and his mom's proud for him, but his father doesn't understand because he's so used to old school tradition. So his mom drops the line of, you don't have to understand it, you just have to understand and support it. And
he just goes, okay, sits down and eats his cupcakes.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine with his cupcakes. He
just wanted his cupcakes.
And then there's the Doc subplot where, like, an old video of her singing on the internet's found because a friend of hers posted it from when she was a kid.
Her aunt, actually.
Her aunt, my apologies. So basically, like, she's like, no, I can't sing. I'm not a singer. I'm strictly this. And, like, Sprocket's like, no, you know who you are, and encourages her to sing. Wembley then also decides, maybe sometimes this is how I'll look, it's however I want to express myself. And I think the in-your-face part I agree with for the most part. There's specific points where it feels more discreet. Like, there's no conflict outwardly where his friends are against it or, like, trying to wrap their heads around it. I mean, the closest we get is Red looking at Wembley in the new attire for the first time after he came in and disrupted the whole Fraggle pile when they were trying to set a record for, Fraggle, like being a Fraggle pyramid, essentially. And because Pokey got disrupted seeing Wembley for the first time, I was like, that's a nice look. So Red goes, why would you do that? Or why would you, like, essentially something along that line of, why would you do that? And Wembley takes it personally, thinking Red meant changing his whole look, which then leads to the spiral that we know. So there's that. And then obviously, like, the closest we get is, Gobo comes back, and, like, there's no, what did you do? Gobo just accepts it and goes, wow, you look great, and I've never seen you happier. Like, it's moments like that where, like, yes, the subject matter itself is in your face, but the outcome is still the same, which is why I like the Fraggle plot more than the Gorgs, because I like the Gorg outcome, yes, but it's not as bigly in your face for, like, the verdict as Gorgs is. Like, the Gorgs is like, Ma drops that line and it's great, but it's more direct. This is like, just the end all be all. This is what it should be. Without, you know what I mean?
That's fair.
It's a great plot. It's a really relevant plot. I love Regan High so much. Adam Lambert just, again, knocked it out of the park. And, like, I feel like I was reading, to quote Tough Pigs again, their review on it, because I like looking back at Tough Pigs because they're a great thing. The person that reviewed this episode is transgender too, so she was talking about it, and basically there was a point where, like, they talked about the great Glitterini and how Glitterini goes, look at this younger generation glittering, I'm so proud of them. And there's a point where, like, for those that don't know, Richard Hunt died originally. Richard Hunt was gay. Richard Hunt died from AIDS complications. So this, for a lot of fans, feels like, a moment where it's nice that honoring the older generation that didn't get to go out and glitter into the world, or is still worried about glittering now because that's not what their generation is. So it felt like a nice nod for Richard Hunt, whether it was on purpose or not. And I know Richard Hunt would have loved to be in something like this. Like, Richard Hunt genuinely is such a lost treasure, and it sucks, but it felt right in a way. And again, I love this episode. It's one of my favorite episodes, I feel like, too. I gotta agree. Yeah. I'm not gonna say much because I'm gonna start bawling my eyes out like I did in the episode.
Start crying a little bit. It's such an important episode, and I think
it's done so well.
It is done so well.
And I think it's such an important episode. I'm gonna say it, and I'm probably gonna start crying because, like, fuck, I was bawling my eyes out during this episode when I first heard about it, and then I fucking lost it. It isn't, because obviously it's a lot of talk about beyond the straight norm, especially for transgender. I think this was huge because they also did what I think a lot of people are afraid of sometimes and tackle the non-binary side. For those of you that don't know, hi, that's me. I think this episode did it so well, and I think it's such a great point for that, and it's really nice to see. And oh shit, here we go. I mean, it's easy to say to be yourself when it's so easy to understand, even in a way, I guess, transgenderism, but not this, because it's still, I mean, there's this infighting even about non-binary people in the LGBTQ community, which is fucking crazy to think about. Like, you see it a lot. So this was, like, huge for me. It's not like I needed the validation, but I think it's awesome, and I feel like I grew with this show, because I did grow up with this show. To see this reboot of this show tackle this topic in a world where it's more with prepared time to understand it, much like I have when I was a kid, because they didn't really talk about this when we were kids, because it was a thing that unfortunately shame on a lot of the world. They tried to hide, and shame on the world for hiding that. Like, say what you will about the climate now, but at least this is a topic that's way more talked and out there publicly beyond just knowing about certain events for LGBTQ in general. It felt weirdly satisfying and redeeming in a way to see the show that I grew up with and based a lot of my understanding of the world on. other than my other shows, of course, Fraggle Rock, I feel like really impacted me a lot about my go with the flowness and understanding of nuances in the world. It felt so rewarding in a way to see the show grow up with me and tackle this as someone that's been non-binary for 2 years as of this December. Yeah, 2 years. I think it's such a great episode. It was great they got Adam Lambert involved because I feel like this is an episode he really poured his heart into. And I think it's just such an important piece of media that really should be just honored for what it does, because it does everything great about this topic while also doing the best of understanding, not just symbolically with the OG series and the reboot, but just the understanding of the world in general, where the world's changed, but it's still great, and it's still, there's a lot more nuances to understand, but it's so easy to understand with an open mind like a Fraggle. And I think that's just fucking awesome. I don't have any more notes. I thought this episode was fucking amazing. It's one of my favorite episodes from both series, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to explain to kids as well. And most of the time, I feel like people make it a giant, huge deal on how are we going to explain this to our children. It's really just that easy. I don't feel like I'm a boy. I don't feel like I'm a girl. Sometimes I feel like I'm both. It's really that easy. And kids are just going to be like, okay, can I have a cookie?
Yeah.
More often than not, if you see parents having their conversations, it goes something like this. And if it doesn't, maybe you're not the one that needs to be having the conversation with them. Maybe you need to find someone who does have a better understanding. Or, hell, maybe you sit down and you learn a little bit yourself. Because if you don't understand it, there's nothing wrong with asking questions.
They always ask questions in Fraggle Rock. But, like, that's also the thing, too, where it's like, even if you don't if the kid doesn't understand it from the initial conversation, the thing that should come away from it is that it may take some time to understand, especially if it's someone that's so well known in your friend group, like Wembley in this one. And I think that's the best part of this episode. It's not just a random token character they throw in. It's a core part of the cast that's going through these changes. That's pretty big in its own right. At the end of the day, it may be hard to understand and it may be confusing, but the end all by all is that you gotta, like, they don't get treated with any less kindness, and they are still accepted and loved no matter what. And as long as they're happy and no one's hurting, that's all that matters. Is that you still treat them that respect and kindness like you would before any changes or thoughts. And I just think that's huge. I think that's so fucking huge for this show.
My main takeaway of this show is I want to be like Pogi when I grow up.
Why?
Because they are just themselves.
That's true.
And they're happy to be themselves.
That's true. It's huge. It's huge. It's obviously a transgender topic, but it's also a non-binary topic, which I know a lot of shows are still stepping their toes in, but this is a huge one where it feels natural for me, you know? It's so good. And I think it encapsulates everything I love about Fraggle Rock, where, you know, the world there's a lot of things you will never understand about the world, but with some rightful learning and the right mindset, you're going to learn a whole lot and learn a whole lot about yourself along the way. And I think that's fucking awesome. So, yeah, I'm going to fucking cry. I've already tried not to cry, but I just love this show. It's a top 5 in my life for a reason. It's so fucking good. And I think I give a lot of credit to Avatar and Pokemon and all those shows for shaping who I am in the world. I don't give enough credit to Fraggle Rock, and I think this episode really made me appreciate it even more. I really fucking love this show.
It's a phenomenal show, and I can't wait to watch more of it. Obviously, this podcast probably wasn't our best episode because we're not fully caught up, and there's so many more conversations that we could have about it, but
I feel like we got the general gist, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot to Fraggle Rock that, like, all 5 seasons, I feel like you could find maybe an hour to talk about. I mean, again, Fruit Bats, great content creator, 7-hour episodes, deep diving into each season, each episode. There's a lot. I think for capturing the general gist, though, I think we pretty much fucking did an amazing job. It's a great series that, quite frankly, could go on and on, but I think it's phenomenal. And it also, fun fact, was one of the first shows to be accepted into Soviet Russia when they started opening up. So,
well, you'll learn something new every day.
yeah, because that's the opening to Defunct Land, where, you know, Jim Henson wanted a show where it could stop war. And technically this show, towards the end of the Cold War, was the beginning of the end of the war, because it was one of the first shows that got into the country. So in a way, symbolically, Fraggle Rock ended the Cold War. Uncle Traveling Matt stopped the Cold War from happening. What a legend! What a guy! Love that guy!
All right. I do think that is all we have to say about Fraggle Rock. I thought it was going to be another short episode.
You
Ended
lied.
Up being over and out. Wow, we know how to talk.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, this may not be the best for the specifics, but I think this is one of our best in a general sense because there's so many nuances. But that's also the takeaway of Fraggle Rock still. There's a lot of specifics you can go into or things that you don't understand yet that someone watching may know. But at the end of the day, it's about your journey and what you take away from it and learning. So dance your cares away, and worries are for another day. Thank you. Worries for another day. Let the Fraggles play down at Fraggle Rock. So go play. Get down there, you fucking Fraggles.
All right. Is that our question of the week?
What?
Which K-pop band?
No. Hold on. I got a couple questions for this episode.
Gosh.
Which is your favorite Fraggle, first of all?
You didn't even ask me that.
Okay, who's your favorite?
I don't think I have one.
Well, that was an easy answer. Okay.
I love them
If
all.
you could rank the 5.
I think Wembley might be my favorite.
He's a good one.
I like him.
Boober's
or Gobo.
Boober's up there for me. Gobo's sass is unparalleled. Like, during the fucking Terrible Tunnel episode where Boober's going through his superstitions, and he goes, look at this, and Wembley goes, the rock is cracked. Gobo's little, the rock and what else? Gets me every time.
Him.
He's so fucking funny.
No, I think Gobo's my favorite.
He's so funny.
Okay, I think it's Gobo in the original.
Yeah.
Wembley in the sequel.
Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, who's your favorite Fraggle, and also Uncle Traveling Matt? Team Huntrix, or Team Soulja Boy? Leave it in the comments down below. I really want to know this answer. Somebody better answer this. I've never wanted an answer more in my life. I want to debate this in the comments.
All right.
Yeah.
If you are watching along with us.
Yep. As you should
Next episode.
We're taking a break from shows because this is the easier to follow, but we're finally doing it.
Drum roll, please. We're finally getting to
Muppet
the
movies.
Muppets.
Yep. It's going to be that time.
I'm so excited.
This is going to be great, so I cannot wait.
We have like 8 to 10 movies to watch.
Yes, we do.
I've already watched some of them, but I think we're going to revisit them for
Oh, we
this
absolutely
podcast.
are.
I'm so excited.
All right. Well, in that case, we will see you then. Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us in the Catch-Up Corner. We will see you next time. Bye.
Down the Fraggle Rock. Okay, bye.